Good morning, good afternoon, or good night. Today we're going to be doing some problems for linear equations, and this is to practice for the SAT. In here, we're going to be looking at how to approach each problem and how to be very efficient when solving questions on the test. So let's go ahead and do number one. In here, we have a graph, total fat and dietary cholesterol of sandwiches. This is the title. This is the y-axis, which is total fat, and this is the x-axis, which is dietary cholesterol. So what I know for reading this graph, not even reading the intro, is that this graph is a total fat versus cholesterol. So I can see here that as cholesterol increases, total fat also increases. That's why we have a positive slope, and this is a positive relationship between x and y. So this is a tip for the SAT. Knowing how to read graphs without actually reading the introduction in the question is going to help you save you some time. So here, let's look at the question. The scatter plot above shows the relationship between the amount of dietary cholesterol in milligrams and the amount of total fat in grams. Okay, I knew that because I know how to read graphs based on the title and the axis. In the 12 sandwiches offered by a certain restaurant, the line of best fit predicts the amount of total fat a sandwich has based on the amount of dietary cholesterol in the sandwich. Okay. How many grams of total fat are in the sandwich for which this prediction is the most accurate? So, since we have a scatter plot here and we have a line of best fit, the most accurate prediction is when the point is nearest to the line. So, this point right here. So how many grams of total fat? So total fat is the y-axis. So we know it's around 60 total fat, and we know around I would say 115 cholesterol. So this is point 115, 60, but they're asking for the total fat. So 60 is the right answer. So you see that 115 is one of the possible answers as well, and you got to be careful with that. Understanding what the question is asking is extremely important. Okay, so how many grams of total fat they're asking, not how many grams of cholesterol. Okay, so let's go into number two. In the xy plane above, lines K and L are perpendicular. What is the x coordinate of point P? So we got point P here, and point P is at a point x is 0. We don't know anything else about that. And we know that line K crosses the point 4, 3, and line L crosses the point 0, 0, and 4, 3 as well. So what is the keyword for this question? Lines K and L are perpendicular. And if you did the intensive with me, this is on the system of equations section. Perpendicular, let me write it down here. Perpendicular. Opposite and reciprocal slopes. Okay, so if you have a slope that's 3 over 2, the perpendicular slope to that one would be negative because that's opposite, 2 over 3 because that's reciprocal. Okay, so this is an example of opposite and reciprocal. So as I read a question, I always try to look at what I want to find. So I want to find the x coordinate of point P. How can I find that? I know that line K passes through the point 4, 3, and if I have how line K is going to behave, which I can do that by finding the slope, I know what point P is going to be. However, I don't know anything about line K, only that's perpendicular to line L. So first of all, since line L has 2 points, and we know that we can find any equation based on either 2 points and a point in slope, we can find the equation for line L, and then we can find the equation for line K, and then we can find point P. Okay, so let's do here line L. We have points. We have 2 points, so 2 points, and those are 0, 0, and 4, 3. Okay, so we can do rise over run. Rise over run. If I have a graph, I will always do rise over run because it's very easy on the eye. So I know from 0, it goes up to 3, so that's a 3 for rise. In run goes from 0 to 4, so that's a 4 on the run. So it's a positive slope. So the slope is 4 over 3. Okay, actually, no, sorry. The slope is 3 over 4 because it goes up 3, that's rise. Let me just write it down here, rise over run. This is rise and this is run. Okay, so the slope is 3 over 4. And in here, we can do the perpendicular slope. So the slope for line K is negative 4 over 3 because it's perpendicular to the slope of line L. So it's opposite in reciprocal. So we know that the slope of line K is negative 4 over 3. So we know that the equation for line K is y equals negative 4 over 3 x plus b. We don't know what b is. We got to find b. Why? Because then we can know the equation, and then we can find the value of x when y is 0. And to find b, we know that passes through 0.4, 3. So we can substitute that for x and y. So, okay, so that's better. So 3 equals negative 4 over 3 times 4 plus b. 3 equals negative 4 times 4 is negative 16 divided by 3 plus b. So we can come in here. So b equals 3, adding 16 over 3 on both sides, plus 16 over 3. So b equals, making both denominators the same, we got that b is 3 as the same denominator. So I multiply this by 3 and this 1 by 3 because I'm making the denominators the same. So if I multiply this denominator by 3, I got to multiply the top by 3 as well. That's how fractions work. So 9 plus 16, and that's 25 over 3. Okay, so we know that, let me write it down up here. Sorry about that, no space. So we know that the equation for the line K is y equals negative 4 over 3x plus 25 over 3. Now we can know when y is 0, what is the value of x? So 0, because we're substituting 0 for y, is equal to negative 4 over 3x plus 25 over 3. Okay, so we can subtract 25 over 3 on both sides, and then we know that minus 4 over 3x equals, let me just get closer here, is equal to negative 25 over 3. Really sorry about the space. So we can multiply both sides by 3 and divide both sides by 4. So x equals 25 over 3 times 3 over 4. I can cancel all the 3's here. X equals 25 over 4. Okay. So we know that when y is 0, x is equal to 25 over 4. So let me see what 25 over 4 is. 6.25. So D is right. So this is coordinate 25 over 4 or 6.25, 0. Looks a little bit challenging, not really, because it's pretty much just finding the equation for line K and then looking for the value of x when y is 0. The main thing about this question is just pretty much knowing what perpendicular means. So lines that are perpendicular have opposite and reciprocal slopes. Okay. Let's go into number 3. That's a question that we get to read it and then finding an equation. So it's analyzing the question, and then finding an equation for whatever the question has to say. The hardcover books produced by a publisher have pages that are 0.1 millimeters thick, and a front cover and back cover that each are 2 millimeters thick. Okay, so we got each page is 0.1 millimeters. So, okay, actually, let me hold on to that. And a front cover and back cover that each are 2 millimeters. Okay, so one front, 2 millimeters, one back, 2 millimeters. So I did a little drawing here. So those are the pages, and this is the front cover, this is the back, and those are both 2 millimeters thick. Which of the following gives the total thickness f of n in millimeters of a closed book that has n pages? So if each page is 0.1 millimeters, then n pages is 0.1 times n. Because think about that. 2 pages would be 0.1 times 2, 0.2 millimeters. 3 pages, 0.3 millimeters, and so on. So 0.1 times n, given n is the number of pages, is the right equation for the number of pages between the two covers. Okay, so what's the equation? We got a total of 4, which is the initial value. It doesn't change. So if we have y equals mx plus b, we know that the b is the initial value. In other words, it never changes. That's 4. That's 2 plus 2, front and back. The slope is the number of millimeters per page. Remember, slope is always a rate of change. So the units are also a rate of change. So 0.1 millimeters each page. And x would be in the number of pages. So A is right. You can see that A is right just based on the y-intercept 4, and all the slopes are the same anyway. So that's the key point for this kind of question. Okay, let's do number 4. A teacher has signed up for a program that automatically delivers books for the classroom library. Okay, useless. The classroom library currently consists of 48 books. Okay, so the initial amount is 48. I know that much. If the program delivers 12 books a month, how many books will the classroom library consist of after 5 months? For this one, we can always use common sense. We don't even need to do a linear equation and then just literally solve the linear equation, because we know that if they're delivering 12 books per month after 5 months, so after 5 months, they will be delivering 12 times 5 books, right? I mean, yeah, 12 times 5 books, which is 12 times 5, which is 60 books. So if the initial amount was 48 and they delivered 60 books in 5 months, then we know that the total is going to be 48 plus 60, which is equal to 108. B. If we wanted to get very, very in depth about linear equations, we could always do the y equals mx plus b. So we know that y equals 12 books a month. Notice 12 books per month. So that's the slope. 12 books per month. So here, the rate of change that I talked about in the last question, the slopes are always rates of change. So the units are also rates of change as well. So that will be 12. X will be the number of months plus b, which is the initial value, 48. In this equation, y calculates the number of books, x is the number of months. So if x is equal to 5, they're pretty much saying what is the value of x when what is the value of y when x is 5. So y equals 12 times 5 plus 48. So y equals 108. B. And this is coordinate. I always like to point out the coordinates because it shows my understanding of how the y relates to the x based on the equation. So that's coordinate 5, 108, just in case you didn't know. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, you remember the first question when I talked about graphs? Okay, I read the intro just because they might say something, but just understanding the graph gives me a lot of extra room to be more confident in the question. So trunk size of giant sequoia tree. Okay, so the trunk size is what the graph is talking about, where the y-axis is diameter in inches, and the age of the tree is years. So I know if I have a slope, for example, I know that the slope would be inches over years because that's rise, which is diameter, inches over years because that's the run. Okay, under the right conditions, giant sequoia trees are the fastest growing conifer on Earth. In good growing conditions, a giant sequoia tree would form a 1-inch growth ring each year, increasing the size of its trunk diameter by 2 inches per year. See, here's the slope. This relationship is represented in the graph below. A giant sequoia tree can also grow 4 feet vertically every 3 years. Okay, so I don't know if this is going to be important, but let's see it. Because this graph is only about trunk size, so it's only about the diameter, which is 2 inches per year. Okay, but they also added that 4 inches vertically every 3 years is a rate that the tree grows as well. So let's see it. Which of the following equations represents the relationship between the diameter of a giant sequoia tree and the tree's age in years? Okay, so we know that y is the diameter, x is the ages. So let's see. We know it grows 2 inches per year, so we know that the slope is equal to 2. Sometimes that's not a given. The first thing I always see is if the relationship is positive or negative, and I know it's a positive relationship because as x increases, y increases. So none of the slopes are negative, so I cannot cancel any of the questions. But I know that the slope's 2, so D is the right one. And also the y-intercept is 0, so B equals 0. So I know the y equals 2x plus 0, which is only 2x. Assuming good growing conditions, how many years old is a giant sequoia tree with a trunk diameter of 19 feet? So if it's telling me feet and it's underlining feet, also tells me that 1 foot is 12 inches, I gotta switch foot into inches. So 19 feet, and I know that 1 foot has 12 inches, and this is working on the units. I can cancel out feet and feet, and my final answer will be in inches. So just 19 times 12. 19 times 12 is 228 inches. So I know that the equation is y equals 2x, okay? And how many years old is asking about the value of x when y is 228. So this will be the coordinate x, 228. So this is going to remain x, and this is going to be y. So 228 equals 2x, easy. So x equals 228 divided by 2. So x equals, we don't even need a calculator for that, 114. So C is right. So this is coordinate 114, 228. Okay, let's go to 15. The linear model z equals 4 over 3w can be used to find the height in feet of a giant sequoia tree. Like they said, it grows 4 feet every 3 years. So look at the slope. Feet per 3 years. So 4 feet per 3 years, 4/3. So see how understanding how slopes are always rates of change and the units are also rates of change can help us understand what the question is telling us. So this is for feet per 3 years. It means that every 3 years it grows 4 feet. So rise over 1. The years are independent and the feet is dependent on the years. W can be used to find the height in feet of a giant sequoia tree. What does W represent? So Z is trying to find the height. So Z is height in feet. Okay. What does W represent? The age of the tree, the height of the tree, the amount the tree grows in 1 year, the amount in feet the tree grows in 3 years. We know that the amount the tree grows in 3 years is 4 feet, right? This is 4 feet. So that's wrong. The amount the tree grows in 1 year, no, that would be 4 divided by 3. So 4 divided by 3. So that would be 1.33 each 1 year, because 1.33 divided by 1 is the same thing as 4 divided by 3. But looking at in terms of 1 as a denominator, which means that the run would be 1, so the rise would be 1.33. So it's now between the height and the age. We know that the height is Z, so it can be that, so that's C, so the age is the only possible answer. One other thing that I always do if I have any questions on this kind of problems is I work out the units. So I know that Z equals 4/3 times W. Z represents feet. So whatever this combination here is, it's gotta be feet. I don't know what the 4 represents. I don't know what the 3 represents. I actually do, but just for this explanation. I don't know what the W is, but I know that this combination right here, it's gotta turn out to be feet, because feet only equals feet. Otherwise, this equality would not make sense, okay? So we know that 4 is feet, 3 is years. So the only thing W can be is years. Why? Because years will cancel out with years, and then feet would equal feet. So it makes sense, okay? All right. Let's see more scatter plots. The scatter plot above shows the average production cost. See, the average production cost in cents per pound per year. So I know what it says, but I'm just reading this just to be sure. But now I don't need to be as concentrated on the intro as I would have been if I didn't know how to read graphs. So the scatter plot above shows the average production cost in cents per pound of a coffee in Ecuador for the years from 2002 to 2012. Well, I see it 2002, so it's around here, to 2012, which is around here. Which of the following is closest to the difference? So the difference, so that's the question, is cents per pound between the actual average production in 2012 and the average production in 2012 predicted by the given line of best fit. So this is 2012, 2010, 2011, 2012. So here's the value predicted by the line of best fit. Here's the actual value. So the difference is from 80 to 90, around 10. But since there's no 10 here, I would say 8 is the most plausible answer. Again, on the SAT, there will never be let you choose between like 8 and 12. It's too close of an answer. So just go for the closest one in this kind of problems. It doesn't have to be exact. Like, you don't have to be like counting each like little thingy to be sure it's 8, because it's not gonna be like a answer that's closer to 8 than just 1. Okay, so we're good. Let's do this one right here. Salary in years of experience for 6 employees. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know that much. And I know also that the salary in thousands of dollars based on the years of experience. So I know that in 1 year of experience, the salary is going to be around 49,000. 3 years, around 53. 4 years, around 53. 6 years, around 57, and so on. So they made a line of best fit. So here, see, I know this. I know the intro because I know how to read graphs. So reading graphs is extremely important for the test. The scatter plot above shows the salary Y in thousands of dollars and the number of years of experience X for each of the 6 employees at a company. Okay, useless for me because I know how to read graphs. A line of best fit for the data is also shown. Okay, I knew that. Which of the following could be the equation of the line of best fit? So first of all, what do I see? Positive or negative slope? I know it's a positive slope. Let's see if any of the answer choices have a negative slope. No, none of them do. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the next best thing we can do. Y-intercept. Okay, the y-intercept happens when x is 0. In this case, when the years of experience are 0. And that's around 46. Okay, so this is wrong. So this is wrong, it's not 55, and this is wrong, it's not 0. So now we only have between B and C to see which one is the right answer. Okay, so let's look at the slope. And for the slope, we can always do rise over run based on 2 very good points. This one looks good, and this one also looks good. So let's do rise over run here. So we know that the rise, I always like to do this projection when I have the graph. It's very easy. So the rise is going from 50, it's jumping into 2s, right? So this would be 51, this would be 55, okay? So from 55 to 49, that's a rise of 6. So, slope, rise over run equals 6 over, from 1 to 5, that's a 4 run. So rise is 6, run is 4, and that's equal to 3 over 2 when we simplify it. So the slope is 3 over 2. So that means B is right. So the equation y equals mx plus b. We know that the b is the y-intercept, so the slope will be 3 over 2. Y equals 3 over 2x plus 95 over 2. Easy. Let's go into the next one. The profit P in dollars from producing and selling n units of a certain product is given by the equation above, where K is a constant. If 200 units are produced, okay, and sold for profit of 1,275, so this is profit, which they're telling us it's 1,275, and n is the number of products, so produced, so that's 200, that's 200. They're going to be asking us to find the value of k, probably. What is the value of k? Okay, what is the value of k? So we just plug it in, find the value of k. So 1,275 SP equals n times 9 times 200 minus 2 times 200 plus k. So 1,275 equals 1,800, right? Just make sure. Yep. Minus 400 plus k. Be careful with the parentheses, because since everything is a parenthesis, we got to distribute the negative sign. So 1,275 equals 1,800 minus 400 minus k. All right. 75 equals 1,400 minus k. So minus k, subtracting 1400 on both sides, equals 1500 minus 1275 equals negative 125. So k equals 125 because I can multiply both sides by negative 1 to get a positive answer for both. So k equals 125. All right. Raymond's weekly income. Again, if you know how to do those questions, you can always skip it. So Raymond's weekly income consists of a base salary for a 40-hour work week plus overtime pay. The overtime pay is paid at an hourly rate for the time that Raymond works in addition to his 40-hour work week. Okay, so we got the 40-hour work week and we got the overtime pay. And this is in hourly rate, okay? That means it's a slope. Raymond's weekly income in dollars can be represented by the expression 800 plus 30x, where x is the total amount of hours Raymond works over time, right? Over 40. So we know it's the slope. Which of the following is the best interpretation of the number 800 in the context? So we know that y equals mx plus b, right? We know that y equals, in this case, 30x plus 800. So we know that 800 is the initial value. So y is calculating the amount of money he makes, right? X is hours over time. And 30 would be the slope. So is the hourly rate, right? So it's the money he's making at a certain overtime hours that he does. So this is the initial value, which is in money as well. So as you can see, money would be equal to money per hour times X, which is hour, plus the money that he makes as the initial payment. So we know cancels out, and money equals money plus money. So money equals money. We know for a fact that this makes sense, the way that we interpreted the question. So we know that 800 is the initial value, but if they asked about anything, we should have been fine. So Raymond's base weekly salary in dollars makes sense. Raymond's total overtime pay for the work weeks, now that will be 30x, because we know that 30x equals dollars. So total overtime pay equals dollars. The total number of hours in a year that Raymond works in addition to his normal 40-hour working weeks. No, that doesn't make sense. Raymond's hourly wage in dollars per hour for time worked in addition to his normal 40. No, that's X. Okay. We're almost done. Nice. We've done a lot of good questions here. So this is interesting. So we got a little bit more to go. So let's do it. For gym class, Shayla completed a 4-mile walking and running exercise. She ran for 70 miles and she walked for 3 times 13 over 15 minus t miles. So this is running, this is walking. Where t is the total amount of time in hours Shayla spent running. The equation 70 plus, so this is running and this is walking. So 4 miles. So running is in miles, right? 70 miles. So miles. 3 times 13 over 15 minus t is also miles. So 4 has to be miles because miles plus miles equals miles. I always like to look at the units to see if what I'm thinking makes sense. Because the left side has to be equal to the right side. Otherwise, the equation does not make sense. Which of the following is the best interpretation of the value 7 in the equation that models this situation? We know also that t is the total amount of time, right? So we know that 7 times t equals miles. We know that just looking at the units, right? So we know that we don't know what 7 is. They're asking the question, but we know that t is time. So in order for me to have miles in the left side, I gotta have some kind of rise over run, some kind of rate of change. And miles would be in the top. So miles per time. Time should be hours, I guess. Yeah, so let me change that into time, into hours. So miles per hour. Okay. So now we can cancel out hours and hours, and miles equals miles. So we know that she's walking or running in this case at a 7 mile per hour pace. So she didn't walk because she was running, so that's wrong. Sheila ran at a speed of 7 miles per hour. Okay, that makes sense. Sheila walked for 7 minutes. No, she walked for 10 minutes. Sheila ran and not walked. She ran, right? Sheila ran for 7 minutes. No, she ran for she ran for T hours, not even minutes. So we could have seen that B would be the only plausible answer, even if we didn't know how to work out the units. What is the value of t in the equation that models this situation? So we can easily solve for t in here, right? So we know that 7t plus, let me distribute the 3 and the 3 here. So 3 times 13, it's 39. So 39 over 15 minus 3t equals 4, combining like terms, so 4t, and I will subtract 39 over 14 on both sides. 4t equals 4 minus 39 over 15. We can always do 39. Let me show you how to do this in the calculator if you need it. So if you don't feel like doing fractions on the test, even though I advise you to understand how to do fractions, you can always do 4 minus 39 divided by 15. This is going to give you a 1.4. So 4t equals 1.4. So you know that t equals 1.4 divided by 4. And that's equal to divided by 4. So it gives me an answer divided by 4. It's 0.35. As you can see, every single answer is in fractions. So you can go to math, to fraction, 1, and it's going to give me 7 over 20. So 7 over 20. That's a little trick with the calculator. So B is right. Okay, what's the total distance that Shayla spent walking and running in kilometers? We know that she walked and ran for 4 miles. So if you found t and then just plug t back into the equation, that would give you 4. Or if you found t and plugged it back into the first equation and then into the second equation and adding them both together, that would equal 4. So that would be a waste of time because it says right here in the question. So 4 miles, and working on the units, each 1 mile, because then miles cancel out with miles, I have 1.61 kilometers. So 0.4 cannot be because it's going to be greater than 4. 4 cannot be because it's going to be greater than 4. 10 is over twice as big as 4, so 6.66, 6.44 is the only plausible answer, but we can do that in the calculator just to be sure. 4 times 1.61, 6.44, so we're good. Okay, awesome. We're doing very good. If you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to let me know and message me. Okay, this is a theoretical question, so be aware of those kind of questions because you gotta understand what the theory is. So you gotta understand the base of it all, not just looking at a question and knowing how to do. Like you gotta understand the process, the principles of, in this case, linear equations. So the graph of the function f is showing the xy plane above. The function f is defined by the equation a divided by bx plus c. Okay, we know that this is the slope, and this is the y-intercept, where a over b is a fraction in lowest terms, so in the most simplified version. Which of the following orders a, b, and c from least to greatest? Okay, so we know, first of all, this is a linear equation. We know that the linear equation is like y equals mx plus b. So let's see what b is. So b is 2, 1, 2. Value of y when x equals 0, b is 2. We know that much. And the slope, which is a over b, is rise over 1. Remember, if we have a graph, I will always do rise over 1 as a projection between 2 points. So this point and the y-intercept are good enough. So let's do our projection here. So making sure that all the x's are 1, 1, 1, okay, 1, 2, 3, that makes sense. So its rise is 2. So the slope is rise 2, rise over 1, right? Divided by the run, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2 over 6. But remember, it's got to be in the lowest terms. That's equal to 1 over 3. So y equals 1 over 3 x plus b. Not plus b, sorry, plus 2. So that's a, that's b, and that's c. So we know that a is the lowest one, c is the second, and this is a c, okay? And this is the less than sign, less than b. Okay, so b is the greatest one, a is the lowest one. Easy. Looks hard because of all this theory, not really, okay? For a function f of minus 1 equals 12, f of 1 equals 16, if the graph of y equals f of x is a line in the xy plane, what is the slope? Okay, it's only asking for the slope. We know what slope equals rise over run, or y2 y minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. In any case, we gotta have 2 points. See in here how we compared 2 points of the line? Okay, so we do have 2 points. We have the points. 2 points. We do have those points, which is -1, 12, and 1, 16. Okay, so we can do rise over run just fine, or we can do y2 minus y1, or we can make a table right here really quickly, -1 and 12, xy, and 1 and 16. So we know each increase in x by 2 from -1 to 1 is the increase of 2. Is going to increase the y by 4. So rise over 1 would be 4 over 2, which is equal to 2. Okay, so this is the slope. Or we could have done y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, and that's equal to, if this is x1, y1, and this is x2, y2, so we know that 16 minus 12 over 1 minus 1, be careful with the signs. So 4 divided by 1 minus 1 is actually 1 plus 1. So that gives us 4 over 2, same thing. That's equal to 2. Okay, so the slope would be 2. So let's assume they were also asking for the equation of the line, or we're asking for the y-intercept as well. So we know that y equals mx plus b. So we know the slope already, y equals 2x plus b. And we do have 2 points that we could use, because we know that when x is -1, y is 12, when x is 1, y is 16. We could use any points. So let's use 1, 16, and substitute that for x and y, so we can find the value of b. So 16 equals 2 times 1 plus b. So b would be equal to 16 minus 2, subtracting 2 on both sides. B equals 14. So the equation would be y equals 2x plus 14, in case you didn't know how to find equations based on a slope in a point. Okay, very important to know. Okay, this catapult above shows the maximum height h in feet and the maximum speed s in miles per hour of 12 roller coasters, as well as the line of best fit for the data. Okay, I would have known that if I just read the title of the graph, maximum speed versus maximum height of 12 roller coasters, and the axis, the speed and the height. Okay, which the following represents an equation for the line of best fit. Okay, so we know the steps, positive or negative. It's a positive. Can we cancel out any of those? No. Got to be careful with this one, because you see, this is not the initial value. This is 140. This is not 0. So this is not going to be the y-intercept. 62 is not the y-intercept. So we can go ahead and cancel out C and D, because this is not the y-intercept. We know that for sure, because it's not 0.0. This is 0.140 when x is 140, not when x equals 0. And we know that the x-intercept is the value of y when x equals 0, not 140. So that's a good catch to have in this problem. So we can find the slope really quickly. So getting 2 points. Let's do this one and this one. Okay, because those are the closest ones to the intersections here. Let's do the projections. So we know that the rise is from 70 to 100. That's 30. So the run is from 180 to 320. So that's at 320. So that's 140. Let me make sure. 320 minus 180. Okay, 140. So we know that the slope is rise over run. That's equal to 330 over 140. Since it's in decimals here, we can do 30 over 140 in the calculator. 0.21. So we know that, not even calculating the y-intercept, we can know that the equation for letter A is the right one. So y equals 0.21 h plus 32. That's good. Anna was 99 centimeters tall the day she turned 3 years old. Okay, so at 3 years, so let's do a table here, years, and height. So 99. When she turned 4, she was 106.5. If Anna's height increased by the same amount each year between the ages 2 to 8, how many centimeters tall will she be the day she turns 7? Two things here we can do. We can find the equation, or we can just calculate year by year what the height's going to be, because we know that each increase in years by 1 is going to increase the height by 7.5, right? So we know that when she is 5, she's going to be 106 plus 106.5 plus 7.5. Okay, so that's 114. So when she's 6, she's going to increase 1 in the y-axis, right? So she's going to increase 7.5 in the she's going to increase 1 in the x-axis, so she's going to increase 7.5 in the y-axis. So if she increases 2 from 5 to 7 plus 2, she's going to increase 7.5 times 2, so she's going to increase 15, right? So from 114 to 115 is 114 plus 15 is 129. So we know that age 7 should be 129 tall. Very easy, okay? And we know here that she's going to increase between ages 2 and 8. So if we wanted to find the y-intercept, we know that the y-intercept happens when x is 2. So we could do, so we know that the initial value is going to be, if decreases by 1 the years, which is at year 2, so the height is going to decrease by 7.5 as well. So 99 minus 7.5, so that's 91.5. So 91.5. So that's B, right? So y equals 7.5 x plus 91.5. Okay, so then we can test it at age 7. So at age 7, so if at age 2 is marked 0, so that's age 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So actually that's when x equals 5. Okay, so 7.5 times 5 plus 91.5 gives us 129, the same thing. Okay. All right, 2 last ones. The table above shows some values of x and the corresponding values of f of x for the linear function f. What's the x-intercept of the graph f of x in the xy plane? So we know that we got some values here, and we know that with 2 points, we can find the slope, and then we can find the equation of the line. So let's just pick 2 points here. So that's fine, negative 11 and 21. And negative 10 and negative 18, we can use those two, but we can do it here. We can do as x increases 1, y decreases 3. So that's a slope as x increases 1, y increases negative 3, decreases 3. So that's rise over 1, negative 3 over 1, right? So we know the slope. And now that we have the slope in a point, so let's pick a point. Any point is fine. Let's pick negative 8 and 12. Doesn't matter. It's going to give us the same y-intercept. So with this, we know that y equals negative 3 over 1 times x plus b. And we can substitute negative 8 and 12 for x and y. So 12 equals negative 3 over 1, which is just negative 3, times negative 8 plus b, which is the value we're trying to find. So 12 equals 24, because negative 3 times 8 is 24. Negative 3 times negative 8 is 24, plus b. So now we can subtract 24 on both sides. So we can cancel this out. B equals negative 12. Okay, we found b. So therefore, we know that the equation is y equals negative 3x minus 12. And what do they want? The x-intercept. The x-intercept happens when y is 0. So they want the value of x, y, 0, and that's point x, comma, 0. We can substitute that for y, and this for x is just going to be the same thing. So 0 equals negative 3x minus 12. We can add 12 on both sides. Negative 3x equals 12. And then we can divide both sides by negative 3. So dividing by negative 3, dividing by negative 3, x equals negative 4 when y is 0. So that's point negative 4, comma 0. So let me show you here how we can use the calculator to solve a problem like this. I did want to show you how to do everything by hand because it's important for you to know the theory. If you get a theoretical question, just like this one right here. So it's important for you to know the theory. But if you already know the theory and you just want to save some time, the calculator is a perfect program for you. So we can go to program. We can go to math tool. What are we dealing with? Linear equations 6. What do we have? We have many points, but we do have 2 points. As you can see, just like I told you before, if we have 2 points or a point in slope, we can find the equation of the line. So let's do 2 points. Minus 11, 21, and minus 10, and 18. So the program is going to give us the equation y equals negative 3x minus 12, which is what we found. And then from here, you can just plug in 0 for y and find the value of x when y equals 0, and then we can find the x-intercept minus 4 is 0. Very easy, very straightforward, okay? Let's do the last one here. It's been quite a while since I started recording, so let's see it here. Finish, very strong, and let's go. An object hangs from a spring. The formula L equals 30 plus 2W, so that's the initial value. This is the slope. Relates the length L in centimeters, so this is centimeters, of the spring to the weight W in newtons, so this is newtons. Okay, which of the following describes the meaning of 2 in the context? We know that 2 is the slope, okay? Since we know that L equals 30 plus 2W, we know that 30 is the initial value. L is in centimeters, so the initial value also has to be in centimeters because that's just when W is 0. It's got to be in units centimeters, so that's centimeters. Plus, we know that W is in newtons. So 2 has to be something to cancel out the newtons, a rate of change, because the slope. So we got centimeters on the top divided by newtons. So it's 2 centimeters per 1 newton. Okay, we can do that. So that cancels out. Centimeters equals centimeter plus centimeter. That does make sense. So we're good with our interpretation. So 2 is centimeters per newton. The length in centimeters of the spring with no weight attached, no, that's 30, right? That's the initial value. The weight in newtons of an object that will stretch the spring 30 centimeters, no, that does not make sense. That will be W when L is 30, right? The increase in the weight in newtons of the object for each 1 centimeter increase in the length of the spring. The increase in weight, no, it's the increase in the length, because it's centimeters, of the spring for each 1 newton, so centimeters per newton. That makes sense. So D is right. So this is how you can literally know if anything you do for linear equations is right. If the units match, then what you're thinking makes sense. If it doesn't match, then it doesn't make sense. And let me show you, if you think about C, what's going to happen. So we know that L equals 30 plus 2W. So that's more in-depth thinking, okay? If you don't feel like looking at this, you can stop it right here. If it's confusing for you, then just ask me in person, but let me show you what I mean. So this is centimeters, okay? So centimeters plus, let's say C would be right. So the increasing weight in newtons for each 1 centimeter increase. So that will give us newtons per centimeter as units, right? And W is newtons as well, so we know that. So this would end up happening. So centimeters equals centimeters per plus newtons times newtons is newtons squared. So it will be newtons squared, because newtons times newtons is newtons squared, divided by centimeters. Can we add up centimeters plus newtons squared divided by centimeters? No, and centimeters is not equal to centimeters plus newtons squared divided by centimeters. So that doesn't make sense because the units don't match. Okay, so D is right. That's all for today. We did many problems, very extensive practice, which is very good. Look, it's important for you to know the theory for linear equations, okay? And for everything on the SAT, because if you get the harder problems, then you gotta know the theory. You gotta know how to find the slope. You gotta know how to find the equation of the line. You gotta know how to find any point, any value of x, if you have the value of y, given you also have the equation, or vice versa, any value of y, given you have the value of x, any value of x, given you have the value of y, and you have the equation. You gotta know that. You gotta know that stuff. Perpendicular is equal to opposite and reciprocal. Parallel is just the same slope if the lines are parallel, because they have the same rate of change, just in case you didn't know. And you got to know how to interpret problems efficiently. Writing down things you know from each question, it will give you an edge, I promise you. Okay, so this is it. I hope you liked it. We did a lot, so that was fun. Hope you have a great day. Let me know if you have any questions. See ya.